Housing for international students here in Singapore is getting more expensive and harder to come by, and also at a time when enrolments have soared 30% from before the pandemic. Some housing operators say that rents have become what they call unrealistic. To keep up, they now want to lease entire buildings and are even looking for families with spare rooms.
This 20-year-old student from China wants to land a spot in the National University of Singapore next year. This rented apartment in Kembangan is his first step towards that goal. He got help from a student housing agency that matches students with private home owners letting out their units. Right now, he's bunking in with 5 other international students, the maximum that's legally allowed for a unit.
For 4 years, and then they only increased their rental in the beginning of the year, about $200.
But not everyone is as lucky. Across the country, student rents have doubled since the pandemic, and larger spaces are running out. It's also why education services companies are getting more requests from students who need help to bargain for housing deals.
So just one bed, small room. So normally it's cost about, I think, 800 to 1,000. Then right now the price will increase. Some increase to 1,008. I think for the new apartment, or let's say new condo and the new HDB flat, I feel like the size is smaller.
He says more are coming from China amid a policy there that limits the number of those going into higher education. We spoke with a housing agency who says 85% of his 180 students are from China. Overall demand also leapt by more than a fifth this year, and it thinks this will go on till 2025.
We have actually gone into a long lease of apartment building, so we'll be able to. We're looking at doubling our capacity to say about 400 students next year. We are also reaching out to local families who have spare rooms at home, so we can tap on the spare capacity. At the moment, we have about 20 rooms on such arrangements.
Same situation for another student accommodation firm. This is his only unit left on offer so far. With the tight student housing market, is also facing more competition from so-called cheaper alternatives that offer tiny spaces.
It's just enough for you to put one small table, 30 times 30 cm, plus one single bed, plus one of the two-door wardrobe, right? And for that, they can rent out easily about $1,200 to $2,000 per month. And that room doesn't even come with the windows.
But the firm is hitting back by shoring up its own supply of units.
We are planning to buy the entire building, or we will be looking at the SLA tender to see which of the sites that then can open up and lease up for the student dormitory. We are looking to manage like about 800 to 1,000 beds, to anticipate for that demand.
SLA refers to the Singapore Land Authority. These housing firms think rents will stay the same next year or even come down slightly as new supply comes in. Meanwhile, they are hiring fiercely to keep up. Some want to add up to 3 times more staff as soon as next year.
Also in short supply are full-time and experienced English teachers to meet the rising number of international students. Education firms say students are mostly coming from China and India and lack the proficiency to enter local institutions.
Input I or S for each.
It's a lesson on subject-verb agreement, part of an intensive general English course to prepare these international students for higher education.
Because I want to improve my English skill before I come to university.
I just want to improve my English skill. I want to go to university, NAFA.
The number of international students has been growing 10% year on year. Those from Japan used to make up a huge chunk of their business, but not anymore.
Before COVID, Chinese percentage of the intensive course students was maybe 30%. Now it's over 50%. I think in the case of China, there's just an enormous population and a lot of desire for different educational opportunities.
The school is having a makeover with bigger and more classrooms by next year to cater to swelling demand. But the search for seasoned educators hasn't been easy.
For experienced teachers, it is harder to find. We have to put a lot of ads out, and we have to look beyond Singapore as well.
Meantime, class sizes have increased, although it says there will be a cap to ensure quality. It's looking for newly minted teachers from firms like CA International College, a training center that certifies English teachers. The college is facing a flood of requests from private universities and international schools, some up to 5 times more than before to meet an influx of Chinese and Indian students. Many schools are now turning to freelancers.
Last year, they were complaining bitterly that, it's really hard to find full-time teachers because most of our graduates or anyone are really looking for part-time work. They want that flexibility. So that's an interesting phenomenon.
Still, the tight labour market has some bright spots.
We have seen an average salary increase, conservatively about 5 to 10% increase in salaries. Employers had no choice but to do so.
Come next year, industry players are confident that international student numbers will continue to grow.